Well, here we are again. It's called Same Old Lions for a reason. It's SOL for a reason. And pretty soon we have to start coming up with something for the fans, because here we are once again, same situation that seemingly we have been in for 20, 30, 40, 63 years.
Holy crap. I don't know who the hell we think when we
The
are.
Lions looked like they did not belong this afternoon. They were trying to go for their third straight win for the first time in the Matt Patricia era. It doesn't happen. They're still looking to do it. They have now lost 7 straight games at Ford Field in front of a capacity crowd of 500. They lose to the Colts 41-21. Dave Yunkin, Ryan Slocum, the Benchwarmers here. Dave, your initial thoughts right out of the gate. This was a game we said last week they could win.
Look at you, giant idiot.
They did not. And they were not in this game after a quarter and a half. Your thoughts?
Referring back to what I talked about last week with what have you done for me lately? Well, you go up against a team that's much better than Jacksonville, Atlanta, and you show exactly who you are. The Lions come out scoring first and then get taken for 20 straight points and just lose all momentum that they gained by scoring first in the game. It really was sloppy. Stafford was off in the beginning, not being able to connect on high percentage passes, and the running game was non-existent. There was nothing there.
Zero.
I mean, they couldn't get anything going at all. No push. That offensive line was dominated by the Colts defensive line. And that's kind of been the Colts' MO all years, their defense being their strength. Having old man Rivers playing quarterback for him, he's still a decent quarterback. He's going to move the chains. He's going to get you first downs, but he's not going to, sling the rock 50 times a game and throw for 400 yards every week. And all he had to do was play efficient against this Lions defense, who people really thought were looking better the last 2 weeks. But, they come back to being exactly who we thought they were.
Who are you playing? That's the thing. It's like, who are you playing? That's why they look good. I mean, come on. And although against Atlanta, who had one of the better offenses in the league, but we know overall as a team, that team is not great. Yeah, you mentioned it. And that was the scary thing coming into this game. You got Indy, one of the better Ds in the league. In the Lions, they were last in defense for the first 4 games of this season. Then things turned around when you play Jacksonville, who sucks, and when you play Atlanta, who as a team sucks. They allowed just 19 points per game in the last 2. So all of a sudden, everybody got all excited and all that. But no, we saw the real defense on the other side of the ball. These dudes do not let anybody run. They don't allow anybody to do anything. And we saw, like we talked last week, Lions got off to a good start again. This has been their MO here all season long. They score first again. They've been running for touchdowns, 7 touchdowns in their first 6 games. They hadn't done that since 1998. And that's the last time they were even in the top half of the league rushing. 1998. That was the last time they have done that, dude. That is insane. That is insanity. 11 straight games that they didn't allow a touchdown on the opening drive. Then they score the first touchdown for the first time, for every game this season. All 7 games, they have scored first. And then after that, it falls apart, which brings up what we talked about last week. Apparently, whatever game plan they're putting together during the week is working. These guys can figure out the first 15, not even 15 minutes, the first 15 plays of the game.
Right.
But then after that, they can't adjust, they can't nothing, or the other guys are just monumentally better. Because it falls apart after that. And it happened again today. Dang it. Again.
Well, see, bringing that up, during the bye week, they talked about the adjustments that they were making on defense and This week, Patricia talked about being able to put guys in different positions and kind of change things over, playing more evenly with man-to-man and zone. And some of the defenders came out and said, look, we just got into a spot where we're just coming out and playing ball. We're just coming out and doing our jobs, and that's what we need to do.
Yep.
And you saw that against Jacksonville. You saw that against Atlanta. And I think the Atlanta game really tricked a lot of fans because they do have a high-powered offense with Ridley, Julio Jones. Matt Ryan's always been able to throw for 1,000,000 yards. And I think that really got fans' hopes up. And then, you come into a game this week, and it really, really was decided in the trenches with the Colts offensive line outplaying the Lions defensive line and vice versa.
Yeah.
So it does speak volumes with the adjustments that they're not able to make. They have a week for prep. It's like they prep for the first quarter, and then they panic and don't know what to do after that.
This defense for the Colts, one of the best in the league, they are allowing 288 yards per game. That's it. I don't know Stafford's numbers off the top of my head, but he's been throwing for more than that in most of these games. That's all they've been allowing. So, and they did their job. Even when the Lions were in this game, in the second quarter, I don't remember what it is off the top of my head, but Rivers had thrown like 15 passes. The Lions only had 15 plays. 15 plays in the half. Rivers had completed 15 passes. And the Lions were in the game. It's because they blocked the punt and got the ball on a short field.
Right.
So they were never in this game. I don't care what the score says. They were never in this game. And people want to blame Danny Shelton for the penalty and, that really changed the momentum, which it did. It kept them going on that particular drive. But don't get it twisted. They were not in this game. They blocked a punt. They got a short field. They scored a 25-yard touchdown right there. Boom, boom. They never did anything other than that. That was it. They were not in this thing. Do not allow yourself to be fooled. And that's what people did, again, because of the Lions. And maybe we can get into it right now. Dave, I just kind of mentioned it. Why do people continually allow themselves to believe? Is it because they've been so bad for so long that any tiny glimmer of hope, like let me put Dr. Slocum's stethoscope on here. Is it? Yeah, here we go. What is it? What is the psychology here? Because we saw it twice. We saw it yesterday too. We saw it with the Michigan Wolverines, where they beat a Minnesota team who we don't know if they're good or not. And they had 6 dudes with COVID and blah, blah, blah. And I got people telling me this is the best they have ever looked. This is the best they've looked in Harbaugh's tenure. I'm like, did you forget when they butchered Wisconsin 2 years ago? Like,
Look at you, giant idiot.
they lie to themselves. Like, there's something in their head that makes them lie to themselves. And it's the same thing with the Lions. They beat 2 garbage teams.
Look at all of this crap.
And all of a sudden, that turns into a win at Lambeau in December somehow. Like, what is it? And you're a Steelers fan, so you haven't had to deal with this in quite a long time. But as a fan,
We couldn't do diddly poo
how does this
offensively.
continue to happen? And how do fans, how do they block the truth out? Like, I don't understand how that's possible.
Holy crap. I don't know who the hell we think we are.
When it comes to that and talking about the Detroit Lions and Michigan Wolverines, I think you actually have to look at it in 2 different ways. With the Wolverines, they have such a winning tradition, and a lot of the fans are used to them winning. And being that it's been a little bit, I think they're just so hungry and starving for them to get back to the glory days.
Right,
And
but that's what it is for both of them, though. It's that hunger.
Exactly. Yeah. But that's what I'm saying is like the dynamics are different because the Wolverines have been there. They've won national championships. You know, they've been highly ranked year after year. But then you look at the Lions and, you know, you have one playoff win in the last million years. And so a lot of the fans, they're starving and hungry for any sort of success, any glimmer of hope, anything that they can hold on to think maybe this will be our year. Maybe we can get something going. And they cling onto it for life. And
I almost soiled myself.
You know, and there's a lot of us that are Lions fans, follow the Lions, you know, and we're not so diehard dedicated to them. We can see them for who they are. And we kind of can expect, like, look, what were you thinking was going to happen? They beat Jacksonville and Atlanta, and now the Colts running into town. They have a winning record. They've won good games this year. What did you think was going to happen? Did they have a shot to win? Yes, because every single team has a shot to win on Sundays. But the outcome is pretty much what we can kind of expect out of this Lions team.
Right, but people, that's it, though. People allow themselves to block out history. You should know, well, we've seen this before. We've seen this before. And same with Michigan. Okay, you beat an average team and looked great. We've seen this before. Denard Robinson ran for 200 yards against an average team and then negative 20 against a good team. We've seen this before. But you said the word. People are so hungry for a winner. They are starving for a winner. And if the right people are listening, by the way, hungry.
Look at you, giant idiot.
It just allows them to eliminate what they know is true. And it's like you're on a merry-go-round, dude. It just keeps going, man. And you don't get off the ride. You don't have to get back in line. You just keep going and keep going and keep, whether it's Jacksonville or let's say it's the 80s and the Packers suck. You know, pick the suck team. It doesn't matter. It just keeps going. But we beat them. It doesn't matter. They suck. And you are this much above suck.
Thing sucks.
It's unbelievable, man. I don't understand how people allow themselves to do this.
It sucked. It stunk.
And it's funny, it's not even against just the bad teams. Remember a couple of years ago when they beat the Patriots out of nowhere?
Right.
You know, the Lions put a game plan together and
Matt
just
Patricia's
everything
third
hits
game.
right. And everything hits right. You know, there's him going home and playing against, well, not going home, playing home against Belichick. And
Sunday Night Football.
And it's a huge game. And, you know, the Lions will get up for one of those every now and again. And the reaction after that game, you know, you would think that they won the Super Bowl and that they were going to go on to have a really successful year. And, you know, it just doesn't happen. There has to be some consistency out of this team before really people can get emotionally
attached. One would assume. One would assume there would have to be some consistency. But there is consistency. We're talking about it. Consistently making you go, huh? Are we good? Are we good? Are we good? We're 3-3. Are we good? And we got to play some average teams after. That's the consistency. They consistently toy with you.
That's pitiful. I mean, it's absolutely pitiful.
I just don't know how people keep falling for it. I don't get it. I don't get it. And I've been getting crapped on for 24 hours now from Michigan fans as well for the same exact thing. I'm like, no, dummy. You're the one who keeps falling for this. I tried to tell you 10 years ago when you thought they were awesome when they were 4-0 because Tate Forcier beat Indiana 27-26, and you thought that they were going to be sweet. Indiana finishes 4-8.
I'm totally embarrassed and totally ashamed.
I just don't understand. God bless you. You want your team to be sweet. So do I. But, we're not all, Steeler fans over here. Like, how are you going to allow yourself to get kicked in the nuts constantly? I just don't understand. Dave, more on this game. Let me run the stat leaders by you real quick. For people that thought, hey, we did something here. We're different this time. Here's your rushing leaders.
We couldn't run the ball. We didn't try to run the ball.
Once again, you're actually playing an above average defense. This is a very good defense. Here's your rushing leaders, though. With 11 yards on one carry, which was like a trick play, Jamal Agnew. One carry, 11 yards.
Bogus!
Your second leading rusher on a broken play, Matthew Stafford. One carry, 10 yards.
Bogus!
Your elite backfield with a Hall of Famer and 2 second-round draft picks that's going to give us the best backfield that there is, and all these other big words that I don't understand. Hall of Famer Adrian Peterson, terrible for the second straight week, if not more than that. 5 carries, 7 yards.
Bogus!
Second-round draft pick, rookie DeAndre Swift, 6 carries, 1 yard.
Bogus!
Oh, well,
And yes,
let's not.
hold on. Kerryon Johnson is alive. He did touch the ball today. He did not run the ball today,
Bogus!
but he did catch it. 2 catches, 15, and a touchdown, which was a nice play. He did not run the ball today, though. So there's your 3-headed monster. Your 2 leading rushers were your kick returner on a trick play and your quarterback. So if you take those 21 yards away on those 2 plays, you ran the ball 11 times for 8 yards.
And that was a disgraceful performance, in my opinion. In my opinion, that sucked.
Your thoughts?
And the funny thing about that is you've got Adrian Peterson. His longest rush of the day, out of his 5 attempts for 7 yards, was 7 yards.
7 yards.
Bogus!
That's all
Right.
of his rushing
So that
yards.
means he ran the ball 4 other times for what? For how many yards do you think he ran that for? I'll tell you how many. That's how many yards he ran those other 4 times for. 5 carries, 7 yards. His long of the day, 7 yards. Get out of here.
We couldn't do diddly poo
And
offensively.
the same thing. DeAndre Swift, 6 carries, 1 yard, longest run of 5 yards.
Yeah.
Do that math.
Right. I can't. I can't.
And I have half the brain that you do!
Those are
I did.
just
I failed
putrid numbers.
stats 215 like everybody else at Grand Valley did. I don't even know how you work that out. Your longest run of the day was 5 yards, and you finished with 6 carries for 1 yard. So that means your other 5 carries, you went for -6 yards.
I don't.
I pulled out
I don't
my
even-
Texas Instrument to figure that out.
But not even that. But how does that even happen? Like, you're a professional
You suck.
football team.
That's how it happened.
There's no excuse for you to
Taylor
have that
Decker
many-
was banged up. Vitae was banged up, and he ended up leaving. He kept getting his ankle jacked. And again, the O-line has been playing fairly decent this year, but once again, who have you played? You finally played somebody that can pressure the quarterback, which, by the way, they sacked Stafford 5 times. They hit him 7 or 8 times. When you actually play somebody with a pulse, exactly.
And it's not even just those numbers. Stafford was running for his life and stepping up in the pocket the whole game. He was throwing passes off balance, on the run, and those clearly affected his numbers too, because his accuracy goes way down when he's on the move.
Well, and there were so many times that he tried to move and he got half a step this way and he got drilled.
Yeah.
I mean, they were all over him all day. They were all over him all day. I mean, so here's the funny thing. You know, we did the whole schedule thing last week and we looked at it and then we thought this was a game they could win. Turns out that was not true whatsoever. But then you look at the rest of the schedule and we're like, wow, frick, okay. Minnesota's 1-5. They blow. Washington blows. Carolina's like slightly better than blow. Houston blows. Chicago, well, we should have beat them week 1. We were a drop touchdown pass away from beating them. Okay, then we'll play Green Bay December 13th and get wrecked. But Minnesota changed all that today. They go into Lambeau again in front of 28 people, but they go into Lambeau and they take it to the Packers. And Delvin Cook looked like the dude everybody thought he was coming out of Florida State. 30 carries, 163, 3 touchdowns, all in the first half. How the heck are you going to stop that? So you go 1 week later after what we said a week ago, I wouldn't watch that game and watch this Lions game and go, oh, yeah, you're beating them.
Right.
No way.
We sucked.
Well, the other funny thing about Cook is he was their leading rusher and their leading receiver. He had 2 catches on 3 targets, but 63 yards and another touchdown.
Well, they barely threw the ball. Like,
right. Yeah.
They had some kind of game plan. They knew we don't need to throw the ball. 11 of 14 for Cousins today.
And they know the formula. You got to keep the ball out of Rodgers' hands.
Well, there's that too. Right. Right. That 12 guy's okay. Keep it away from him. Meanwhile, so Delvin Cook's a dude we know. Here's a dude I bet you none of you have ever heard of, Jordan Wilkins. 20 carries, 89 yards, and a touchdown. He also had a big catch. I don't think anybody thought Jordan Wilkins was going to be the man today for the Colts. He was. And he ain't no Dalvin Cook.
The second half, we sucked.
And the interception that Stafford threw was absolutely horrible. He tried to look off the safety and just turned to the right without even paying attention. He was throwing that ball there no matter what.
Where the play would, yes.
And all of it was a linebacker that just sat back in the throwing lane and picked it right off. I mean,
yeah, there was a tight end, and they were thinking the tight end down the seam was going to pull him over. He didn't pull over. He just stood there. And Matt was looking to the left, turned right, and fired. Did not look at all. He just turned and fired. And boom, pick 6 all day.
Bogus!
And he had time on that play, too. He didn't have to throw it that fast.
No, that's just where he was going. That was the play, and that was it. It didn't matter. It did not matter. That's what he was doing.
Yeah. Well, and that just goes to show you, I mean, it's just he gets forced into those situations by not being able to run the ball. The defense giving up too many plays, and he just gets forced in that situation. Am I giving him a pass for that? No, absolutely not. That was terrible. He absolutely should not throw that pass, but those things are going to happen when you're put in that situation time after time.
Right. Well, so the Lions fall below 500. They are now 3-4 on the year.
Bogus!
And next week, as we said, they got Minnesota, who looked like a completely different team than they have looked all year. They improved to 2-5 today. They beat the Packers 28-22. It was 28-14 at the half. Excuse me. No, it wasn't. It was 28-14 after 3. Tied at 14 at the half. And Green Bay scores a late touchdown to at least make the number look respectable. But, yeah, the way Dalvin ran it today, you're looking at something completely different. Hey, let's wrap this up with our weekly game show. And our weekly game show is called
Tooooo Sweet.
or
Diarrhea.
Dave. For those at home who have never played
Tooooo Sweet.
or
Diarrhea.
I give you something and you tell me whether it's too sweet or diarrhea.
I really hope you don't give me too much diarrhea.
I was going to just tell you I'm not going to describe diarrhea. Do the too sweet. I'm not going to do the not going to do that. The internet is forever, and I don't need people seeing that.
Here, let me show you diarrhea real quick.
No, do we want to? Are you putting the Lions logo up?
Absolutely.
Now, last week, we played Too Sweet or Diarrhea for the first time. I actually asked you about the Detroit Lions, very last one. I asked you if they were. And here's what you had to say.
I'm going to go with the outlook of what have you done for me lately? They came off the bye.
Thank you, Jen.
2 wins in a row. Offense looking good. You can only play who's in front of you. You don't pick your schedule. Right now, I'm going to say that they're going too sweet.
Wow.
Sweet.
Wow.
Too sweet.
That is unbelievable.
That didn't sound like that wasn't me. Not one of my better moments.
Well, life is back to normal. We also asked you last week about Marvin Jones. He had a good game today. He had a good game last week as well, actually. So it seems like Marv likes Too Sweet or Diarrhea because since this has happened, he has showed up. 3 catches today, 39 yards. He had 2 touchdowns. Last week, 5 catches. He's turned things around a little bit, but after the game, the trade deadline is looming, and people have started to ask Marv whether he's worried about going the Golden Tate route and get traded.
One more for the good guy.
He says he's not worried about it. That was a big question after the game today. Dave, the Lions are 3-4. They don't look nearly as much as contenders as last week when they traded for Everson Griffin. Dave, Marvin Jones trade rumors. Are they?
Too sweet.
Or are they?
Diarrhea.
The trade with Everson Griffin.
Who did not play today, by the way, because of COVID rules. He wasn't allowed. He can't play till next week.
That was very puzzling that they decided to do that, especially since his contract's up at the end of the year. Usually when teams do that, they're making a push for the playoffs as contenders. And so that says to me the Lions looked at these last 2 wins being 3-3, that they're in the game, they're contenders, and then they come out and put up this stinker.
They absolutely did. And, of course, after the new owner, Sheila, came out and said, we want to be contenders here. Your life's on the line, Bob Quinn and Matt Patricia. You need to be contenders. Well, they look at themselves. They saw the same schedule we saw in front of them. It looked like a bunch of – and they said, hey, we can go do this. Let's go get Griffin because the Cowboys season is done. Continue.
So the fact that they went out and made that trade last week and exactly what Sheila said, I'm going to say that the Marvin Jones trade rumors are diarrhea.
Whoa.
Diarrhea.
Because the Lions are going to be too stubborn to try to get something for the future, try to get some picks, trading him to a real contender. and they're going to be all full of pride, trying to keep this push to make the playoffs and whatnot. And they're going to miss a golden opportunity, and he's going to stay on the team the rest of the year. If it was me, you got to be realistic and think about what you can get. And if they're going to get phone calls on them, you have to at least listen. But it's a weird situation because you're playing for your job essentially, and you don't know if you're even going to be here next year for those picks. So it's got to be hard to figure out how to handle that situation.
That's the toughest thing, and you see it all the time. Lame duck coaches, lame duck GMs. You know they're playing for their lives, so they're going to do a bunch of dumb stuff to try to keep themselves alive. We saw it just recently with Stan Van Gundy with the Pistons. You know, you should never have a lame duck coach because that's what's going to happen, or GM, or blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And they're not lame, but they've been given an ultimatum, allegedly. Whether you believe or you know whether, they have to go 8-8, they have to go 10-6. We don't know where it's at. She just said contend for the playoffs. Everything you just said with Marvin Jones plays right into this. Kenny Golladay got hurt today. Non-contact injury. He was on the line, hike, pushes off, immediately grabs his hip, took 2 steps, walked off the field. Did not come back. It didn't look good. I don't know that I've ever seen anybody take 1 step off the line and come up lame and walk off the field and not come back. Not good at all. Kenny G, obviously a Pro Bowler, obviously one of the top 10 receivers in the league, if not higher. So why would you get rid of Marv when your number 1 dude is out? So that plays into that as well. Kenny Galladay's hip. Are you Tooooo Sweet or are you Diarrhea?
Diarrhea.
Yeah, take that, Kenny Galladay's hip.
You blew it!
All right, let's get to something a little more serious. Matt Prater. Now, you can tell me a lot of these were long distance from 50 and beyond, which he was dang near automatic for most of his career. Matt Prater came into this game 12 of 16 this season from field goal range. Matt Prater missed. There was a few instances today the Lions were in the game, that penalty, and then this one was another one. Misses a 48-yard field goal. He's got 5 misses on the year so far. Not exactly Matt Prater-like. Matt Prater. Are you Tooooo Sweet or are you Diarrhea?
Him and his tattoos are both diarrhea.
Diarrhea. This coming from a guy with a lot of tattoos.
That's the missed field goal at the missed field goal at the end of the first half was one of the worst. I mean, that was just a straight up shank. It wasn't even close. The minute it left his foot, yeah, exactly. And the unfortunate thing is you make that field goal and the Lions come down in the second half, their first drive, scoring a touchdown. That would have made it 17-20 and a whole different outlook on the game. But that didn't happen. We don't know what would have happened. And, so Matt Prater.
Overall look this season.
He definitely doesn't look like he used to. And it looks like he's on his way out of the league. Whether it be a year or two from now, he's not kicking well. He's not looking like himself either.
As we sit here, when we look at you with your stupid Steelers hat on,
You stink.
That's not nice.
and I look to a guy who had 4 grabs today, 48 yards, and a touchdown that really started the turnaround early in the second half of the now 7-0 Pittsburgh Steelers, a team that has the best record in the NFL, a team that is the best team in the NFL, the only undefeated team in the NFL, and a team who has, I don't even know how many Super Bowl rings now, one for the thumb.
6.
I don't know which thumb I'm on. Both thumbs. 6. They are 7-0 for the first time in team history. That man I speak of, who sparked the comeback with a really nice grab, 2 plays, 21-yard, 43-second drive, is one Eric Ebron.
That jabroni brown blood.
For someone who is now 7 games into an Eric Ebron era,
Break his back, make him humble.
Pittsburgh boy, Bridge boy, Allegheny, or however you say that, River boy, is Eric Ebron, in your eyes,
Tooooo Sweet.
or did he pull his way up 4 hours across I-75 past Toledo, and as soon as he waltzed his way downriver, became Diarrhea? He's thinking.
Eric Ebron is just too
Ah.
sweet.
Tooooo Sweet.
I'll be honest, I was very leery about him coming to this team with what he had done for the Lions. But then he went to the Colts and played pretty well, led the team in touchdowns.
Dropped a
The
lot
first
of
game-
passes, though, by the way.
And that was his start to his career with the Steelers. He dropped a few passes, fumbled the ball, and it just looks more and more as we get into the year that Ben has really found a connection with Ebron. He's relied on him on third downs, and Ebron's really been impressive with his awareness and running with the ball after the catch.
Yep.
He had a couple plays. He did score the touchdown, and he had a couple plays where he made some moves to get more yards, and it's just something we haven't seen in the past. And it really was a huge turning point in this game against a really good Baltimore defense.
Yep.
And one of the top 5 teams in the league.
I don't have his drops in front of me, but this season he does have 22 grabs, 215, touchdown, 9.8 per catch. And he does have all the, the measurables. I don't know if he has the intangibles, but he has all the measurables. That's for dang sure. Thus, he went 10th in the draft and, didn't take Aaron Donald, didn't take OBJ, there's countless people. But that's neither here nor there. Okay.
That's pitiful. I mean, it's absolutely pitiful.
Fun first half of the season. And the late games are still going. And then, of course, we have Sunday Night Football and tomorrow night. But we are halfway through the season. This is week 8. Lions 3-4. They've already had their bye. Give me a forecast very quickly, if you can, for the second half of the season, the last 8 games of the season. Very quickly, give me a Lions forecast, and then give me a shortened, abbreviated NFL forecast for the final 8 weeks.
I think we're just going to see more inconsistencies out of the Lions. I wouldn't be surprised if they win a couple games that they're not supposed to, but I have a hard time seeing them finish 8-8, finishing 8-8 this year. I think it'll be the end of Patricia, the end of Quinn, and they're going to be starting over from scratch.
So 8-8 is not good enough.
8-8 is not good enough, and it's not even going to get there.
Okay.
Synopsis for the rest of the year. There's going to be some really good football played with the Steelers, the Chiefs, the Ravens. You've got the Bucks in there now with Brady and his boys, getting Antonio Brown
there now as well, as if he didn't have enough weapons already.
Yep, and you've got the Saints, the Seahawks, the Packers, of course. So it's going to be a lot of fun, and I think this will be one of the better playoffs that we have this year. Not to mention to see who gets that extra spot, because now we get 7 teams from the AFC and NFC. So
yep.
The only thing I wish that they could change is I wish they could just eliminate the division winner from the NFC East having to go to the playoffs, because that's going to be an automatic bye for whoever it is.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Whoever gets to play them.
But, hey, man, I mean, it's just one of those things. It's an anomaly. It's just one of those things. It happened a few years ago. I think it was Seattle was 7-9 and made the playoffs, and that was the year they beat the Saints, right? Was that year? Marshawn trucked, the beast mode run. So, it's just one of those things. It's not going to be normal. It's not. Everybody tells me about the glory days of the NBA, and then you go back and you look at the standings, and the Bulls are making the playoffs at 30-52. And they're not the only team under 500 either. People get mad now when they're like, they're 40-42. Yeah, there used to be teams 20 games under making it. All right, calm down. Things happen. Very quickly, I don't have a prediction. I think you're right. I think there's going to be a jumbled mess with all those other teams. I think there is one team above everyone else right now, and it's still the Kansas City Chiefs. I think they're the best team in the league. I don't think it's close. I know they've lost a game, and I think the Steelers are right there. We'll see what happened with the big fella today, limping off at the end of the game. Obviously, Devin Bush, who is having a breakout year, having a possible Pro Bowl, all-pro year, done for the year. That stinks. One of 20 ACLs or whatever the frick we have so far this season. We'll see what happens with them, but they are obviously a very good team. But, if I were to sit here and carve a path, I would say today you got to beat the Chiefs to be the champs. They're still the best team, and they still got the best player. Halfway through, that's what I say. I'm sure that'll come back to kill me. But there we go. Well, Dave, appreciate it. After week 8, after halfway through, your Detroit Lions, 3-4. We will do this again next week. Minnesota on CBS. Hopefully they can slow down that boy who was cooking today. That's it from here. See you next time.
Pleasure's all yours, Bucky boys.